My name is Brittany Liscord, and I am joining you live right from my house. I am here from the Children's Museum and Theater of Maine, and right now the museum and theater is closed right now, but I am very excited to be hanging out with you this morning. This is definitely a bright spot in my day. So thank you for inviting me into your home. Please do let me know that you're here and ask any questions as we go along, because we are going to be scientists today. Today is Wednesday, and every Wednesday is Worm Wednesday. So we are going to be exploring the worms right outside in our own backyard this morning. You can definitely hear the birds in my backyard are alive and doing well this morning, and we're also get a chance to check in with our vermicompost bin and see what's happening with our science experiments from last week and the week before, when we put in a lot of different organic matter into our compost bin. We'll take a look and see what's going on. So first, would you want to explore some earthworms with me? Some live earthworms? Have any of you seen earthworms at your house? I wonder. Well, can I tell you a really easy way to find earthworms? Some of you might have seen earthworms when it rains, and recently we've had a lot of rain come down, and so this is a good time for earthworms to travel, because earthworms actually breathe through their skin. So when it's raining, it keeps their skin moist so they can breathe, and they can head up out of the ground and find a new hole to go back in. But after the rain, when earthworms go back into the ground, they often leave little mounds of worm castings. So I'm going to bring you close down to the ground so I can show you some of these worm casting mounds in my yard, and maybe you can look for them in your yard too. All right, here we go. So these worm casting mounds look just like that one there, if you can see at the tip of my finger. Others back here, in here, and all the way down. You can see all of these little mounds. So when I was looking for worms this morning, I thought, gee, this is perfect. I've got all of these little mounds of worm castings, which means these are the little bits of dirt and organic matter that worms actually eat, and then they poop out. So as some of you might know who have been to other Worm Wednesday programs, worm castings are actually worm poop. Kind of silly, right? That's kind of one of the many fun things about studying nature, is there's a lot of different names for different types of poop. Fun thing to research. So let's take a look. I did a little digging earlier today, and there's a hole right behind me. But I've just got a shovel. This is a small spade, and even a sandbox shovel would be perfect for looking for worms. So I'm just gonna dig in right here. I'm gonna be nice and gentle. I've got a few sprouts. Thankfully, I haven't done much gardening, so this is a perfect place to go dig up a little dirt. But do check in with any adults in your household before you dig up a section of earth. Make sure it's a good place to do some digging. All right, we're just gonna dig down here. I see some rocks. There's some little sprouts starting to grow. Any worms? I see some roots. Ugh. I'm gonna take a bigger shovelful right here. I have to dig a little deeper. Should we say, wormies, where are you? Where are you, worms? Oh, the soil's starting to turn. It's always interesting too when you dig up the soil. You can look for the different color rocks. It's starting to turn a little orange. I wonder what that is. I don't know. A lot of being a scientist is just making observations and asking questions. If you want to learn something and be a scientist, go ahead and start digging and ask some questions. Well, I don't see any worms there. We'll just have to dig another hole. I wonder if they're going deeper in the ground as the day moves on. I found quite a few when I was here this morning. Huh. Any wormies? Not yet. Interesting. Do you think that's true? Do you think they go deeper in the ground? I wonder. Okay. Actually, I see, I'm going to bring you down. I see a couple holes right here. I wonder if that's just what happened. So right here, you can kind of see these little holes at the tip of my finger here. I wonder if the worms have gone deeper into the ground because the sun's coming up and the worms know that they need to stay moist as the sun comes up. We'll have to see. Well, when I dug this morning, I found earthworms right away. Let's take a look at the ones I found this morning. And so my soil here, it's got some roots, some dirt, some small rocks. And I kept all the soil in here to keep my worms safe. All right, here's one of my big worms. Here's a big earthworm. Oh, hi, Annette. Yeah, the soil is very sandy, Annette. This is right by my driveway, so I admit that it's... So yes, it's... Hi, Julie. Aurora's wondering why worms always live underground. Oh, that's a great question. So worms live underground because that's where their food is. Worms are part of the ecosystem, and their role in nature is to eat up the little bits of plants or trees and decompose them, and that means break them down into smaller pieces so that other plants can grow again. So worms make good soil for plants. Oh, this one's moving and grooving. So here's our earthworm. And another reason worms live underground besides their food source, which is so that through their skin. So if you look very closely at our little worm skin here, you can see little segments, and that's how worms move. And their skin needs to stay moist at all times. It means it needs to stay a little wet. And when it has that wetness, that moisture, that allows the worms to breathe through their skin. When worms are it's too sunny for them, they will dry and won't be able to breathe. So you can see, and another interesting thing to look for on worms is on adult worms, you'll find a clitillum, which if I kind of clean this sandy worm off, like you were saying, Annette, this is kind of sandy soil. You can see this white band right there. Do you see that? That's the worm's clitillum. And that means this is an adult worm that can mate with other worms. And you won't always see that on worms, but if you do, you know that's an adult worm. Also, can you see all the sand sticking to the worm here? Do you notice that? What do you think that is? Well, worms, in addition to their little mucus skin, also have little hairs called setae. And setae are hairs that you can see under a microscope. If you have a microscope at home, take a look at worms under that, and you might be able to see those little hairs. And they help the worm pull onto the soil and move forward as it goes through the ground. So Annette, that's a great question. Annette asked, the more worms in the soil, the healthier the soil is. For the most part, that's pretty true. About 10,000 years ago, there used to be lots of earthworms in North America, but when the glaciers receded, the big chunks of ice moved up on the earth. All of the worms, or many of the worms that were native or originally lived in this area we call Maine, left with the ice. So all of these worms like this you see in your garden were actually brought here by people from Europe who came. These worms were originally from Europe, and people thought, gee, if these worms were in my garden, were good in Europe, they would be good here. So they brought them over, and so earthworms have been spreading in North America for the last 400 years. And generally, yes, they are good for the soil. Earthworms like this are good for the soil because they aerate the soil. All those little holes that they make allow air to get down into the roots of the trees, and they allow water to go down to the roots too. So generally, yes. There is some worry among scientists about certain species of worms, mainly the jumping worm or the crazy worm, that spreads very quickly and could possibly eat too much of the leaves and organic matter in forests and could be a little harmful, but generally, yes, they're helpful. Yeah, thanks, Annette. Yeah, thanks, Paulina. Thanks for coming. So this is one earthworm. Do you want to check in and we could compare this earthworm with our red wiggler worms that we've got inside of our bin? So I'm going to put our earthworm back down right here for a moment. So this is our compost bin. Every Wednesday we check in with our compost bin and see what's going on. It's just a big bin, and what's inside of it is a bunch of worms. On top of the worms, we have some newspaper. This keeps it dark for the worms. Like we were talking before, and like Aurora was asking, why do worms live underground? Worms also like the dark. If you want to do a quick experiment and see what it's like to be a worm, you could close your eyes. And worms can't really see like we do, but they can notice sunlight. So if you look at your eyes, if you look like at a light or the sun with your eyes closed and then cover your eyes or uncover them, you can see a little bit of light through your eyes. Worms are the same way. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to show you this. So 2 weeks ago we put in squash insides from a squash that I was eating for dinner. And last week there was no squash insides left. Now look what we're taking out. So now look what we got going on here. What happened in our worm bin? Oh, I was just saying, Seed said that it eats dust and lives for a limited time. Some worms do eat dust and dirt. Earthworms definitely do. So earthworms that I found in my garden, like this one, they do eat dust and dirt and small plants. The red wiggler worms, which is a different species of worm that I've got here in this bin, they eat little bits of our food scraps, like banana peels, and this is an avocado peel. And can you see what happened in here? Oh, they sprouted. All of those. Let's see if we can find one. We'll dig it up. Look at that. So did you ever think about that? The insides of a squash, if you eat for dinner, if you put it in some nice soil, like some nice nutrient-rich soil, they'll sprout right up and you could get little plants. So remember what it looks like now. So next week when we come back for Worm Wednesday, what do you think will happen to all these little plants? What do you think will happen? We will have to come back and check in. Do you think they're going to grow bigger? I don't know. I have a hypothesis, a guess, but we'll come back next week and I'll let you have your own guesses. Okay, oh boy. This is all a bunch of fun. Do you want to see a big handful of worms? Check it out. Look at that. Look at all those little worms. So these worms are different than our earthworm. Let me put them on a plate so we can compare. And I'm going to be careful not to mix my earthworms with my red wiggler. So here's my red wiggler worms. And here's the earthworm. What do you notice is different about them? This is kind of a leaf here. Do you notice anything different? Thanks, Annette. Yeah, check back in next week. Or it'll be recorded as well online at www.kitetails.org/online. You can see all of our online videos as well if you don't remember to come back in. Do you notice any differences? What one's bigger? The earthworm here or the little red wigglers over here? Yeah, that's right, Salinora. The earthworm is bigger. That's definitely a difference. And the red wigglers, they look a little red, don't they? Yeah, they're a little red. What they have in common is they both, when they are adults,